important are the multinational companies, and how is the issue of tax exemption a benefit directly to the ruling party in form of exchange for campaign financing?
Hello. Hello, moderator.
Yes, Otim, please go ahead.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity, and a good afternoon to all members that are here. Thank you for the deliberations. My main focus, as in general, based on what we are discussing today, is if we're looking at the inclusivity of women and youth into the political affairs of particular states within Africa as a continent, we should be able to understand the type of policies, or rather the type of leadership governance that embroils most of these governments. We have some particular governments that have been in the systems or have been in leadership for more than 3 decades. We have some that are literally new, and then of course, based on the cultural norms and settings of different societies, we also have an approach where most of the youth and the women are not given room to participate actively in politics. Now, particularly in Uganda, we have certain areas or sub-regions that have not been keenly engaging women until I think of recent, that we began seeing minimal participation of the women and the youth in the political affairs and governance within those societies. Now, this has an effect on how certain things, are passed across if you don't see the young generation actively involved in governance and the politics of particular states. In Uganda, we have kind of a shortfall. We have a gap between the elders and then the young generation. The young generation has not been mentored in case the elders are to give over to hand over the power. We don't have any young tasks or generational leaders that have been incapacitated enough to push the country forward. We are still in that kind of loophole, or I call it a shortfall. Currently, if you're to look at like the question that my brother Henry Mumuguzi asked about facilitation of campaigns, I'm just trying to cut everything in and summarize in fact of time. There has been issues of funding, and when you're to look at the young generation or the young leaders, but you don't have the funding, and you find that most of the people that dominate the political cycles are the ones that have these cooperatives or corporations running. And they're the ones that have the rights to the mining industry, they have the manufacturing industry, then they have capacity to lobby from the outside of the countries. Now, if you are to give that to the young leaders that have the potential and ambitions, and together with the ladies or together with the women, you find that there is that lacking. We have lots of money rolling within the people that already understand the dynamics and understand the game of politics in particular states. Take, for instance, Uganda. We have people that are key in decision-making politically. They're the ones that sit on most of these rights to having these cooperatives, and then the facilitation of the funding to particular political parties. And then here it has just become a business. We have particular people that invest in leaders for interests or for their gains. If you're to look at Uganda and then look at Congo and then look at Kenya and Tanzania, there's literally a similarity in the way politics is handled. When you look at South Sudan, you're looking at how the oil money influences politics. Look at Congo, you're looking at how the mineral or the mining sector influences politics within that side. We are having been in interactions with a few people or a few of my business partners from Congo, and then you're finding that since they are going into the election period, there is already that scarcity, there's no money. So most of them have this vast land and then they are trying to look for how they can get people on a board so that they can pick up, a handful of the finances in order to facilitate the campaigns. Now, that is how the politics is run. That is how political parties also get to get the facilitation from this individual, persons. Now, I give you the finances, and then as the state, you give me the state machinery to help me win the election. Electoral commission as a body is always infiltrated by these money bags. The money bags come and then they are putting up to sums of 2 billion Ugandan shillings. Now, when someone puts 2 billion on your head as a candidate and is facilitating for some other particular person, you're the one that has limited resource. You are not given the mandate to partake on the national. You may have the ability, capacity as a leader. You may have the sound mind to ascertain and then formulate on the policies within the country. But the fact that there is a limited resource, there's limited finances, then you are out. You are kicked out based on the approach of very many people, and then the economical factors. Everybody runs for the one that has the money at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insight, and indeed very useful observations there. But as we go to look at the recommendations, and of course I've picked out a number of recommendations which I'll be sharing momentarily, but to our panelists, I think you would prepare to then give one or two practical recommendations on how best then we can increase the number of women and youth participation. And I think from the start of the session, a number of issues have been raised in terms of, for instance, the quota system, but also ensuring that there is some form of political participation education, which then empowers young people and women to, whilst there is no money provided to them, then how do they use some of these strategies to engage with the communities in view of soliciting votes? We also
Mr. Moderator, just a brief one, just to add on what you have just stated. They've forgotten one or two things. There should be inclusive. There should the youth. Let me say the youth and the women should begin to actively engage themselves within the politics, the political affairs. If you want to be a leader, there should be that ability. There should be that sacrifice from you. People, the communities should see that you are actively or you want to take on the leadership. So you begin involving yourself, participating in some of the small activities. And that is how the people get to understand that you are indeed in leadership. In Uganda, if you're to assess the political cycles, or rather our political system here, we have women literally participating. We have women, what they call district members, district women MPs, or the women representatives that are sitting within the parliament. Now, each district, we have 150 something district. Each district has a woman member of parliament. You have a district woman MP, and some of these, but help in formulating the policies. The only hindrance we have with these particular women is that the moment they amass the masses, because they are the ones that are almost highly funded by the government of Uganda, because they have wider coverage. The only problem is that most of these women representatives, when they get into the into the house, or rather parliament or leadership, they tend to rather consolidate the power to themselves, and then you end up seeing someone being a woman or a woman representative for more than 30 years, denying an opportunity to the young ones that also have the potential to show. So I think there should be certain policies that are streamlined. That let's have possibly term limits. Term limits, they can be two term limits, so that 10 years, and hand over the mantle to the other people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. They're well noted. So as I was saying, there are a number of challenges that were identified, and I'll draw my panelists to then make recommendations